Today I want to go over 5 ways that families can respond when they have an alcoholic in their family who's creating a lot of toxicity and dysfunction. And this is by no way to disparage the alcoholic in your family. This is really more about awareness and how families really need to respond to the reality of the situation, which at times can be frightening, it can be dangerous, it can be emotionally draining, exhausting, and downright scary. It can be scary having an alcoholic in the family because you don't have any control. I mean, you love the person, but you also need to keep yourself out of harm's way and try to protect them as well. And doing so and protecting yourself, you're also protecting that person. So let's go over some of these primary things that you should be doing really to protect the family. And I understand some of these might be a little bit controversial, and if you've never been in this situation, it might be a little bit weird to hear some of this stuff. But I think it's important to approach the situation. The most important thing you need to do is attack this 25-ton elephant in the room and have a conversation. Look, we are concerned in an intervention. It doesn't have to be this giant intervention. It can be a very serious conversation, like, we're concerned about your productivity, your health, and how you're affecting not only our relationship but the other relationships in your life, and makes real specific things that have happened, and that we're seeing an escalation in your alcohol consumption. This is how it's affecting you, your health, your mental health, your physical health, and maybe even your legal health if you've got a DUI or some other activity has happened. But when it's very obvious that the person is going down a certain path, the family needs to have either a mini intervention or a full-blown intervention, depending on how far and what level of alcoholic the loved one has become. It's very important to broach the subject. It's important for family to create a boundary. Look, we're not going beyond this. If you're going to continue down this road and you're not going to work on yourself and you're not going to get help, well, unfortunately, the nature of our relationship is going to change, and we may go no contact, we may go limited contact, but our resources and our emotional energy is going to be protected by our own actions. And then there's some simple things that are fairly obvious. I mean, especially if you have an alcoholic living in your house. I mean, if it's a son or a daughter or a spouse, or if you have a parent for some reason that's living with you. But you need to remove all the alcohol from the home. I mean, everything. I mean, beer, liquor, wine, even kitchen sherry, mouthwash. If you have that, hide it. Anything that has any kind of alcohol content, because it will be sought out and it will be consumed, no questions asked. And if you do keep it behind locked doors. I mean, I used to drink a bourbon once in a while. Even when my wife was in her throes, I had my man cave and I had a cigar once in a while, and I kept I kept my bottles of whiskey locked behind 3 padlocked case. So, and the keys, one had a key and the other one had a padlock, and nobody could get into it but me. I probably shouldn't have even had that, but the whole point is you need to address that and be aware that any alcohol in the house is going to be consumed. Again, this kind of goes without saying, but you need to remove all access to money, especially if it's a child or a spouse, and this is not easy. You need to take away all ATM cards, hide your wallet when you sleep. I used to have to hide my wallet with any kind of credit cards. I had a vault in my closet. I had to put my car keys in there at night, my wallet, and any credit cards that I had, because they would just be used for money. You really have to go to that kind of extent. You have to confiscate all credit cards and hide everything that you have that has to do with money. Bank accounts, you need to put them in your name, and maybe change bank accounts. My wife used to order ATM cards, for example. I'd cut them up and she'd order new ones. And then, of course, she got her own credit card. She had her own credit, so I couldn't stop that. But, you can only do what you can do as a spouse or as a family member. This really applies to the later stages, but you really need to remove all access to privileges when concerning driving. My wife was kind of an extreme case to some extent. She had 4 DUIs. Eventually, she had a court-order breathalyzer machine, but she even had ways to get around that by having my son breathe into it so she could start the car. Eventually, I had to take the battery out of the car so it wasn't used. She actually did not drive the last year and a half, 2 years of her life because I wouldn't allow it. I just took the battery out and that was the end of that. And my car keys I had to put in a vault at night. That's the extent that I had to go to. Some might say crazy, but it's really about self-preservation to some extent. And really, if at all possible, I mean, if you're paying for their iPhone, better make sure they don't have an Uber or Lyft app. If they do, find a way to block those. You don't want them to have access to alcohol. My wife used to sneak out, 1 o'clock in the morning, when I was sleeping, and go to the local CVS or grocery store and get alcohol and get her next day's supply of alcohol. Or she would have a friend go do it. The point is, it's about really protecting yourself as a family member. You're not going to be able to completely deny the alcoholic alcohol. I mean, these are just the realities. They will find it no matter any way, anyhow, and that's just the nature of the disease. And again, I'm not disparaging the alcoholics. I'm just talking about these are the realities that families really need to face, and these are things that they need to think about. And again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we also have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Link is in the bio. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, I have a complete coaching program, set up a breakthrough call. The call is free. The coaching program is definitely not. But I'm looking for people and families, alcoholics and families that are ready to change their lives and the lives of their family. And thanks again so much for listening.